حي على الفلاح.
Subhanallah, a few days ago, less than a week ago, I was in Al-Andalus in South Spain. And it really hurts you when you see those buildings, those old buildings that were once masajid and now churches. When the Muslims were strong, look how far they came. Among the believers are men truly to what they promised Allah. Among them is he who has fulfilled his vow, and among them is he who awaits, and they did not alter by any alteration. From those believers is the great man Tariq ibn Ziyad rahimahullahu ta'ala. He was born in the year 50 of Al-Hijrah, what is the year 640. He was originally from the nowadays Algeria. Scholars have mentioned, and that is the authentic narration, is that his origin is from Al-Amazigh. They were the people who used to be in North Africa before the Islam came. They exist until this day in Morocco and Algeria and in Libya, and they have their own language. I have to highlight that the Amazigh before the Islam, they were on the belief of a shirk, paganism. They used to worship idols before the light of Islam came to them. He was born as a Muslim. His father or grandfather is the one that took him to Al-Mashriq, to the east, to the Middle East, where he was grown up in an Islamic environment and in an Arabic environment. But he, rahimahullah, he kept his Berber language that he had learned before. He lived in the Umayyad Empire, and that is the empire that came after the empire of the Khulafa al-Rashidin. And the time where Tariq ibn Ziyad was living in was called the golden time of the Umayyad Empire. And the reason for that, ayyuhal ikhwah, is that the Islam has reached in this particular time, it has reached China East and Al-Andalus West. So far came the Islam. So it was called the golden time. And the Khalifa and the ruler at that time was Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik radiyallahu anhu wa rahimahullah. He was from the Tabi'een. So in this time, Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik used to send his armies east and west and to the middle towards Cyprus, and it was conquered as well at that time. And at that time, Tariq ibn Ziyad was raised up. He had love to be in the Islamic army. And there were a few main armies. One was sent to Sindh, nowadays India and Pakistan, under the responsibility of Muhammad ibn al-Qasim. One great army was sent to Khurasan, and one was sent to Africa. Tariq, rahimahullah, he went with this army. After a while, Musa ibn Nusayr, who was the army leader sent to Africa, he found that one of the strongest men in his army was Tariq ibn Ziyad. He was highlighted by his strength, a very good fighter, in such a way that Musa ibn Nusayr, when he conquered North Africa and finally came at the city Tangier, what is in the nowadays Morocco, he made Tariq ibn Ziyad the ruler over Tangier. So Tariq ibn Ziyad became a governor in Tangier at the year 89 of Al-Hijrah. So he stayed there until the year 92 of Al-Hijrah, what is 3 years. After that, a very important incident happened in the religion of Islam. And that is that the Muslims started to focus upon what is after the sea. Because if you are in Tangier, you are seeing the mountains of Spain. So the Muslims were focusing upon Europe and to spread the da'wah of Tawheed there. So at the year 92, Musa ibn Nusayr, who was being appointed by Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik, the Khalifa, to be the army leader of Africa, he appointed Tariq ibn Ziyad to go overseas with an army was estimated as 7,000 soldiers. And I have to mention that most of those people in the army, they were from the Berber. So he went to Al-Andalus, the nowadays Spain. The first point he reached was the place Jabal Tariq, what is nowadays British territory. So Jabal Tariq, also called Gibraltar, is named after this great personality. So when Tariq ibn Ziyad rahimahullah came to Spain, he did not waste his time. So the first thing he did is to conquer Cartagena. And when he conquered this place, the king Loderick knew about the army of Tariq, so he sent a huge army to fight Tariq ibn Ziyad. Tariq ibn Ziyad rahimahullah, he heard about the army of Loderick coming towards him, so he sent to Musa ibn Nusayr to give him reinforcement. So Musa rahimahullah sent an extra 5,000 soldiers to Al-Andalus. He prepared his army. During that preparation, he made his important and very famous statement that he gave in front of the army. "O people, there is no fleeing. Where are you fleeing to? The sea is behind you and the enemy is in front of you. Where are you going? You can go nowhere. And you have nothing that will benefit you except being truthful towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and patience." And then he said, "Know that you are in this island more lost than a person who lost his parents, worse than the orphan, because the sea is behind you and the enemy is in front of you. And your enemy is confronting you now with his army and with his weapons, and it's well supplied and well prepared. You have nothing except for your swords." He said, "Let the intention be the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by this battle." And he said to raise the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the word of Tawheed, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and to make the religion of Islam appearing in this place. And then he said something very important, "And know, people, that I am the first person to respond to the thing that I have called you to, and he will join the fight himself. If I die before reaching the army, then continue with what I have intended to do." There is another incident where a lot of people who have written about the Islamic history talk about. They have two opinions about this incident. And that is the incident where Tariq ibn Ziyad rahimahullah were it's been said that he has burned all the ships that they came with to show the people there is no way back, to strengthen the iman of the people and to make them more steadfast. So the ulama, they have differed about this story. The only thing we know is that he was with a small army in front of an army of 100,000 people. So the battle started, and like you know, Iman does amazing things. And like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, how many small armies have overpowered big armies bi'idnillah, with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's what happened, and they overpowered them. And from then on, Tariq ibn Ziyad rahimahullah, he sent his armies to conquer famous cities as Cordoba and Malaga and many other cities. Finally, my brothers in Islam, we have to know that Andalusia was one of the greatest periods in the Islamic history. After the conquering of Tariq ibn Ziyad with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, was a source of knowledge on the earth for many centuries. You will know that at that time Al-Andalus became a center of knowledge where people from the Europe came to study. When the rest of Europe was in the dark ages, they came to Andalus to study medicine, to study many other worldly sciences. So there is no doubt, ayyuhal ikhwa, that the conquering of Andalus was one of the greatest incidents happening in Islam. And the Muslims, after conquering south of Spain, they went as far as northern Spain, and they even entered parts of nowadays France. When looking to the khutbah of Tariq ibn Ziyad, then we find that his aim was spreading the Tawheed to the people and taking the people out from worshipping Isa alayhi salam, worshipping idols, from taking them out of that situation to worshipping the one who has created the heavens and the earth. Tariq ibn Ziyad rahimahullah, when he conquered Spain, he invited the people to Islam without force. Rather, they should come to it willingly and by choice. Andalusia at the time of Tariq ibn Ziyad was under the rule of the Romans, of the Roman Empire, a big tribe called the Gothic tribe, whose religion was Arianism. They overrun Al-Andalus before the Muslims came, and they used to prosecute the local Christian people there. Although many Spanish historians, they have tried to defend the Gothic state, but the history books are filled with evidence of the local people's rejection of the Gothic rule. Why do I say that, ayyuhal ikhwa? Because the Gothic people, they themselves, they have written letters to the Muslims who were at that time in Northern Africa to help them out of this persecution, to help them out of this Gothic empire who used to deal very bad with them. One of them, a Spanish historian, he said, if the Arabs had not interfered in the peninsular affair of Spain and put an end to this age of turmoil, the gods would have inflicted unimaginable harm on Spain. And Musa ibn Nusayr rahimahullah, he himself was personally asked to help the people that were oppressed in Spain and to get rid of these tribes that conquered them. Even Western historical sources, they state that the Jews who also used to live in Andalusia in Spain, they were also being persecuted by these tribes. So they also sought the help from the Muslims overseas in Africa. And they asked the Muslims to save them from the oppression. So this is a short talk about this great scholar, and I advise all of you to read more about Tariq ibn Ziyad rahimahullah ta'ala.